Okay, before I start this review, I have to make one thing crystal clear. It is a request of mine to all watching this video. Whatever you do, do not buy this game. I'll explain why in a bit. So, The Order 1886 is a new third-person cover shooter from Ready at Dawn and Santa Monica Studio, both being pretty damn reputable developers, having worked previously together on the well-received PSP versions of God of War. So a game like The Order 1886 is a bit of a departure for them, but it's still been one I've been very excited to play. Mostly because of the previews I saw, because just to tell you what you know already, this game looks phenomenal. I mean, you can tell immediately from this footage I'm showing you about how damn good this game looks, right? It's incredibly cinematic with fantastic texture work and impeccable lighting. The game verges on photorealistic at times. Also, there is literally no difference in graphics between cutscene and gameplay, and the way they transition between the two is so good, I often didn't even realise when a cutscene had ended. The voice acting and motion capture are also top notch, and what makes this all doubly impressive is how there are no load times in the entire game. I mean, you guys, The Order 1886 truly shows us what the PS4 could do on a graphical level. Had the game been 60 frames per second instead of the locked-in 30, then that would have made the game look even better, but because the graphics are so good, I didn't really mind. Now, I'm talking about this game's presentation first, because I just want to get the obvious out of the way. The game looks as good in-game as it did in the previews. The presentation is just overall fantastic. The rest of the game, however, is pretty, Okay, let's look at the story. The game takes place in a dystopian Victorian London where for centuries the human race has lived amongst half-breed monsters, which have not made life too easy for your average Joe. To fight these monsters is an order of knights, one of which is the guy you play as, Sir Grayson Galahad, and it is your duty to kick some ass with your fellow knights as you soon uncover a conspiracy that could shake up the very thing your order stands for. Now, if there's ever been a game that was all build-up and no payoff, The Order 1886 is that game. At first glance, these characters look pretty interesting. I remember Grayson meeting this chick and this French guy for the first time, and I thought, yeah, there could be a nice little camaraderie between these three. There could be some interesting character arcs and some entertaining back and forth banter. The story could be pretty damn good, but unfortunately it falls short. The characters had potential, but they hadn't developed enough to really care about them. There are one or two moments that give these NPCs some personality, but they're few and far between, and when bad things happen, I really didn't care. Just to give an example, there's a character that dies about halfway through the game, and they really try to make a big deal out of it, you know, what with the sad violin music and all the characters going, "Oh no, what's his name's dead." Yeah, the character that died I knew nothing about. I couldn't remember his name or tell you anything about him. So yeah, the game's characters are pretty forgettable, so I was hoping that the narrative would make up for the game's lack of personality. But as I played through, I kept waiting and waiting for the story to pick up. I kinda sensed every now and again, okay, this is where the game is gonna really begin. This is where the climactic encounters and fun character interactions I've been waiting for are gonna happen. And about 5 hours into the game, the story did get a little better. Shit was going down, pieces were moving. I got pretty intrigued in seeing where the story was gonna go. By this point, plot elements had been explained better, as there is a distinct lack of any kind of explanation in the beginning of the game as to what the Order actually is. I felt quite confused at first, but things were explained better as the story went on, and I began to moderately enjoy the narrative. But things took a turn for the worse when I reached the 6-hour mark of the game. I just finished this boss fight and I was watching a cutscene and I was thinking, okay, now I want to get the bad guy and make amends with our fellow knights. Let's go kick some more ass and give what for to the villain. Bring on the next level. And what did I see next? The fucking end credits! Guys, my jaw just dropped. Like, it literally dropped. I was just sat there playing my game with controller in hand and I was like, I couldn't believe that we're going to end it there. There were so many plot threads left hanging. It honestly felt like half a story. It's as if the developers were like, well, we made the game last a barely passable 6 hours. Sure, the story's incomplete, but we'll just move all that to the sequel. That way we can make more money. The ending is inexcusable. It's honestly the biggest fuck you to all who paid full retail price for the game. This is why I said not to buy it. A 6-hour game that ends this abruptly and doesn't even have a multiplayer component is not worth $60. It's not. The ending really left a bad taste in my mouth, guys, and it's a real shame because the story was showing promise, but those end credits just pop right the fuck out of nowhere. It's honestly the worst ending to a game I played in recent memory, and I played Mass Effect 3. The ending just made me visualize what people's reactions would be after forking out 40 quid for this game and to have it end after only 6 hours, and so horrendously at that. And it's not as if there's any replay value. I mean, I can't imagine anyone wanting to play through the campaign for a second time, and the lack of anything to do once the game is beat makes this game horrendous value for money. Now, maybe I could justify this game's asking price if the gameplay could make up for the shitty ending, but it really doesn't. You ever play any third-person cover shooter from the past 5 years? Yeah, well then you played The Order 1886. It's basically a shitty version of Uncharted sprinkled with a bit of Resident Evil 4. Much like Uncharted, you run and shoot your way through various stages, but everything feels clunkier and more limited. Shooting is fine and actually pretty fun with some cool unique weapons to use, but it's hampered by the developers' insistence of putting black bars at the top and bottom of the screen. The idea behind this is to make the game feel more cinematic, but a 21:9 aspect ratio does not make something look like a movie. Hell, there's countless films out there that don't adhere to it, so why should this? The bars really limit your field of view, especially during your encounters with the lichened beasts, where they're very difficult to spot as they charge right at you. And the problem persists when facing humans, because if an enemy is over you, forget it, you won't be able to see him. Now, in terms of difficulty, it's moderate. The biggest challenge you will face are enemies which rush you with shotgun attacks, and these attacks do tend to feel a bit cheap. I suspect they'll annoy a fair few players. Now, to help out, The Order 1886 has 2 unique game mechanics. Well, unique-ish. One is whenever you lose all your health, you can drink a vial of what is called black water to revive you. Think the power of Wolverine in a bottle. Pretty basic, but useful. There's also an option to slow down time and take out enemies by having you automatically lock on them, and then you can shoot accordingly. But this feels pretty underwhelming. I would have preferred a Red Dead Redemption system where you would pinpoint where you want to shoot manually, and then with a click of a button, shoot them all really quick. That system was the shit. Here, however, it feels ineffective and you'll often forget you even have it. Then there's like platforming here and there, but it feels very scripted and linear. These moments are here basically just to stretch the runtime. Melee attacks are also pretty naff, where all you have to do is push the triangle button when you're near an enemy and Grayson will do the rest. There's no brawling or combo system here, it's just overly simplified and it's a bit shit. And finally, there's some stealth sections, but again, it feels quite clunky. Grayson just doesn't move with the quick impact that Nathan Drake does, and stealth kills can get pretty infuriating when this stupid QuickTime prompt decides not to work.
Oi, you!
Oh, and speaking of QuickTime events, they're everywhere. Literally, the first thing you do in this game is a QuickTime event. Whose idea was that? Whoever it was, you need to be fired immediately. QTEs aren't fun, they're not challenging, and they insult your intelligence every time they pop up. Oh, what? You mean I have to push forward to go forward? Who'd have thunk it? So the shooting is average, the platforming might as well be part of the cutscenes, the stealth is shit, and the QuickTime events are QuickTime events. So does the game offer anything else? Not really. Apart from that, there's only some gameplay stints where you walk around in a very linear game world and then look at things. In quite possibly the most confusing of design choices for this game, there's actually parts of the story where Grayson picks something up and then the game asks you to move the analog stick a bit so you can look at it. Truly, we live in a privileged age of gaming. There's also various newspaper clippings and photos to pick up, but they're never of any interest, and the boring audio logs just made me think back to that bit from South Park: The Stick of Truth.
Day 2. So hungry. I've searched for food, but the only thing I've found are other people's annoying, useless audio logs. Why did they bother when they clearly were in terrible danger? Each audio log I find is more irrelevant and boring than the last. I must keep looking for a way to survive.
So in conclusion guys, The Order 1886 is a by-the-numbers shooter under the guise of a very pretty one. I really have to commend the game's visuals, but great graphics does not make a great game. The narrative has some good moments, and the shooting is entertaining enough, but the game's ending. Man, I still can't get over that. I was lucky enough for Sony to send me a promotional copy of this game to review for you guys, but if I spent full retail on this, I'd be pissed. But I have to review this game as if I did, because that's what most people are going to have to do if they want to play this. If you can't get enough of third-person shooters, and if graphics can play a big part in your enjoyment of a game, then I'd recommend giving this game a rent. I cannot stress enough how this is not worth a purchase, as I experienced everything this game has to offer in a measly 6 hours. Now that's not to say that short games are bad. In fact, I honestly really like a lot of short titles. Many games out there overstay their welcome, so a 6-hour game can be a nice change of pace. But, and this is a big but, short games need to be priced accordingly. As underwhelming as Platinum's Legend of Korra game was, it was at least priced appropriately at £12. I really respected that. And that game was published by Activision. The Order 1886 should have sold at what the Legend of Korra sold at. And more developers should take heed if they want to create games with briefer campaigns. Short games shouldn't be discouraged because developers otherwise might pan their games out too long, and they'll end up feeling as though they have too much filler. So back to today's game, and let's now give it a score. I'm going to give The Order 1886 a 6 out of 10. All things considered, it's pretty average, but the excellent presentation ups the score a fraction. It's a fun enough experience whilst it lasts, but needless to say, there needed to be more content here to justify the game's asking price. Hang about. I might miss something here. Extras. Wow, I didn't see that. I'm so sorry. I could have missed so much. Challenge missions, mini games, unlockable content, online multiplayer, behind the scenes stuff. Okay, let's see what we got here. Wow!